Here we are. It is 3:48 on a Sunday morning, and we are about to start the fourth week of the 2025 fall semester. As a full-time psychology instructor and graduate program director, it is absolutely an exciting time. Lots of positivity, lots of hopeful energy swirling around. As a non-traditional student, single mom, taking a lot of science prereqs on my journey to nurse midwifery, it is also an incredibly anxious time. Even though I've got a million worries, I'm planning for success. So stick around and let's talk about my three biggest concerns right now and what I'm doing about them. This is Second Shift Nurse Stories. Welcome back to Second Shift Nurse Stories. My name is Hannah, and for those of you who are new here, I'm a 40-year-old single mom working on changing careers. Today, we're talking about three of my biggest worries as we start this new semester and what I'm doing about them, so let's jump in. It's hard not to think about anything other than money right now. One, how am I paying for school? Great question. Well, lucky for me, I work at a university, and as part of the benefits of working at this university, I get free college credits. So every year at my institution, I can take, I believe, 12 credit hours, or 13, 15 credit hours. 15. Yeah, it's 15. And so I have been knocking away at my nursing school prereqs right here on my own campus, doing, using my tuition waiver. That has been a lifesaver because even though I'm still coughing up some fees and books, it's been really manageable for me thus far. I probably couldn't do this if this was not how I was doing it. Now, my plan is not to stay at my university and finish nursing. I'm going to go over to the community college again. Cheaper. And finish over there for my RN and then see what happens from there. But as far as managing the tuition piece, there it is. I am currently, it only cost me a couple $100s a semester to be knocking away at prereqs. This semester, I'm taking chemistry with lab. I'm taking human anatomy with lab. The kinesiology anatomy, not the bioanatomy. There is a difference, and I'm willing to admit it. And then I am also taking genetics, which has been really interesting and super fun to review, something I haven't really thought a whole lot about since like my freshman year of high school. So that's been really cool. Tuition's not the only money concern, of course. Right now, we know money's tight all over the place. Money's tight for everyone. And so I have been doing my absolute best, really dialing in the budget, really working my hardest, and not pinching pennies because we do just fine, but paying attention to what we're spending. I used to own a brick and mortar business, and my business coach at that time used to always say, like, know your numbers. and don't be afraid of your numbers. And so I sometimes feel myself right now slipping back into that, oh my gosh, I just don't even want to look. I don't want to look at the bank accounts. I don't want to look at what's coming down the pipe. But that certainly applies here. Knowing numbers and staying on top of it, being intentional about paying attention with what I'm spending and how I'm spending has been very important. So I'm trying not to freak out. I'm trying to remember I have always budgeted well. I have always been a reasonable spender. And that even though we're taking on this new financial commitment of working through a career change, that I am in great shape with the ways in which I am able to do that. So money, big concern, but money also something I am very intentionally working through. My second biggest worry, or like thing I find myself most anxious about, really just is fitting in. I put up a video, my last video, walk and talk. I was talking about how I was so concerned, especially about taking seated class on my campus, that like, oh my gosh, I'm a non-traditional student. What am I going to do? The reality is nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Everybody is just busy doing their own thing. I am friendly. I spend a lot of time with college students, and so like this has been a really easy thing for me to do, is just to work on showing up and remembering that we're all in the same boat, trying to learn anatomy in a very loud room where you cannot hear the lab instructor, even if I could hear him, I'm not sure it would matter a whole lot, because all he does is just read the names of the bones while showing me a PowerPoint of the bones. So I don't know that I need to hear him, but I cannot hear him. And we all can sit around the same table, age not a factor, being equal parts annoyed and also concerned that maybe we're missing something, but how could we possibly be missing anything? So that has not, fitting in has not been the big concern I really thought it was going to be. I think just continuing to work at being friendly, being approachable, being someone who's like, hey, we're all here in the same boat and how can I help? I think that's really helpful. It's funny because I had one of my graduate students came in new just the other day and was saying the same thing of like how she's navigating, and I was like, can actually relate to this right now in this moment. So even my current experiences are helping drive the new ones, making me a better advisor as program director. So fitting in, 3 weeks into the new seated semester, I'm realizing not as big a deal as I thought it might be. And maybe it's okay to let go of some of those worries, at least for this semester, at least for right now. I'll leave space for the idea that fitting in will be a problem later on. My third big area of concern is something that I think makes a lot of sense and won't surprise anyone, and that's just like time management. I love being busy. Like, I am somebody who loves to do, and then also loves to rest. So I kind of go in these spurts of like, oh, I'm doing so much, and then we'll take some downtime. Over the summer, which was my first semester working back in this program, all of my classes were online. And so it was in some ways easier because there wasn't the seated class expectation. But also, I think I don't know, it was just different. My summers are also really different in the work. Like, my work vibe is different in the summer. I don't teach as many classes. It's faster. I have a lot more space in my weeks because of that. So I don't think that time management was as big a concern as it is right now. The fall and spring semester are much busier. And so right now, the addition of my prereq courses, and especially with lab, that takes some management. So how am I doing with that? Well, the first thing I'm doing is making sure that absolutely everything goes on my calendar. Everything. I take a 3-mile walk every morning, on the calendar. I want to row at night before I go to bed, on the calendar. I need to get to Carline. Carline is on my calendar. Oh, but more about Carline in a second. So absolutely everything goes on my calendar. Now, this is terrifying for my students, because then when they go to book with me, it looks like I'm super busy and that there's nowhere to meet with me until the month of March. That's not true, because I do also like block sometimes in there. This way they can't just like free schedule through my booking app anytime they want. They have to reach out to me to gain access to those blocks of time. But right now, making sure that I'm really intentional about that, making sure everything is on my calendar, that I am referencing my calendar multiple times through the day. It is the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, is grab my phone and look at what is the first thing I need to do this morning. And that has been very helpful. So it's a little scary when I open my Outlook, because the week looks far busier than it used to. But it is very helpful. I do not forget anything, because everything is on my one singular calendar. The second area where I've found a lot of time for myself in the week is a meal schedule and meal prep. This is also supportive of my first concern, which is money. And so being way more intentional about how I'm going to eat and when I'm going to eat and what I'm going to eat, and making a good solid plan for me and my kid is very important. What has been interesting is how few people are like, I can't believe you still make lunch for your kid when he goes to a Title I school and can eat lunch at school. I do not qualify for free and reduced lunch, so it is far cheaper for me to be able to pack lunch for him, and I am intentional about how I do that, and that way I am saving money and saving time for myself by usually having his lunches for the whole week packed on Sunday night. Or at least with a solid plan for what the back half of the week is going to look like. So what I do for him and for me too for lunches is that we have like 2 options through the week. So I'll make 2 options for me, 2 options for him. That way he can alternate. We've got a little bit of extra. Those extras can be evening leftovers for when I don't have the energy to do much cooking, but also then he is able to take care of himself, which is kind of fun, and he likes that. He's 5, so he likes knowing he can go to the fridge and grab a lunch container out and snack down for himself if and when he needs to. But having options for lunch, a couple of options. That's why he's not eating peanut butter and jelly all the time. Can you even eat peanut butter in school anymore? Probably not. But he's not just eating peanut butter and jelly every day. So having that plan is really helpful. I'm also then more intentional about how I spend money, and then that is helpful. For me, I make huge things of rice on Sundays, And then also I will usually boil a thing of pasta as well. So then we have two solid building blocks to start any meal by knowing we have rice, we have pasta, and whether I'm going to do a chicken breast in my pasta or do a chicken breast in my rice or do meatballs or, just adding whatever veggie is coming out of the garden right now or whatever we're pulling out of the freezer. Having those solid building blocks, which then isn't a mega plan for dinners, but then I have something easy to grab, easy to get going when we get home at the end of every day. So I really like that. I'm a pretty simple, like, beans and rice girly. I do a lot of herbs and stuff in my garden, so I'm always got fresh flavors coming in to all those different things, but that's been really helpful for me. One of the other areas where I am gaining some success for time management is using the systems available to me without guilt. I live like less than a mile from my kids' school. And it is in the direction of my office, which is only like a mile and a half away. So it is easy for me to drive him to school. But he takes the bus. His bus comes at 6:43 in the morning, which is great. If I was going to drive him to school, I couldn't drop him off. Morning car line doesn't open till 7:20. By putting him on the bus at 6:40, I've just gained 40 more minutes in my day. You know what's conveniently about 40 minutes, a little bit more? Either doing my 3.5 miles of walking, doing a yoga class, sitting down to row, or just going back in the house and taking an extra long shower. Me time in the morning by putting my kid on the bus has been amazing. Now, I had him in aftercare for reasons that have nothing to do with time management, but for what's best for my kid, I actually took him out of aftercare. However, he has been a all-day, everyday aftercare, full-day daycare kid and school with aftercare kid for a long time. If aftercare ends at 7:30, and I'm showing up to pick up my kid at 7:30, and I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm a single mom. I have a lot going on, and usually I need some me time. And so normalize sending your kids to aftercare. Normalize utilizing the systems, especially because I am paying for those systems. So use those systems without guilt. So if I say that I'm using aftercare, last year aftercare ended at 5:30 and I was there rolling up at 5:28 to pick up my kid. So I use that system that I enlist and is available to me, and I use it without guilt. Because I just took him out of aftercare, again, I could easily roll by and pick him up on the bus or pick him up from car line. But I was like, no, he can ride the bus home. How much time does that buy me in my day? An extra 30 minutes. So I am learning how to use those things without guilt. I have a babysitter coming a couple days a week to get him off the bus, so I don't have to find ways to just end my day at 2:20 every day, or work from home all the time. So, but I guarantee my babysitter 5 hours a week. So guess what? I'm going to use all 5 of those hours. I've budgeted for it, I've planned for it, and I'm going to use it without guilt. He is taken care of. He is attended to. I get to have some me time if I don't need every minute of that babysitting time for for work. So managing my time through using the systems around me has been so valuable. And I'm still figuring it out. I'm not perfect. And I still have worries. I have worries about money. I have worries about time. And right now, everything's going great. But of course, I'm worried about when it starts to fall apart. But I'm a pretty pessimistic person by nature. And so being sure that I'm focused in and intentional about planning for when it falls apart actually makes it so that I plan for a lot of that. And when it starts falling apart, because it always does, it's never super bad. So I'm growing and changing, and hopefully I'll have more to share about how it's been going. Whether or not I'm still super anxious when I have to walk into lecture every day. And just kind of going from there. So, my big takeaway from today, be intentional. Be in tune. Evaluate. And just keep going. I know I'm capable. So are you. I know I'm powerful. So are you. I know I can do this, and I know that it's the right direction for me, even if it's scary, even if it's a little bit daunting. If you want to learn more about my story, go back. You could look at some of my other videos about why I'm changing careers at 40. Feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. And now that we're settling into fall semester a little bit more, I hope to be getting some new walk and talks and some other stuff out your way soon. Be well.